All right, with that, we have 12 o'clock once again, everybody. Welcome to this week's masterclass. As always, pull up the Q&A tab if you are here with us live. And if you're on the replay, which the majority are, go ahead and type in your notes into Google Docs, Notepad, whatever works best for you. Most important part is to do the homework. And if you'd like feedback, definitely send your homework in. We love that that's part of the program. And let's get into this week's class. Also, I know a lot of new people on here as well. Make sure to access all your bonus content. Any issues accessing your bonus content, let us know. We definitely want to make sure that you have that in between classes so you have something from us. All right. In the survey, we asked, where did you find your first team member? And very interesting, let me go ahead and exit the poll here, is that the majority said a friend. Behind that was relative. Behind that was stranger, and way behind that was coworker. So friend took the top over 50%, which is pretty cool. Very interesting. That'll kind of give you a little bit of a wake up call when people say they ran out of their warm market or they don't like their warm market. Well, there you go. The first one was always a friend, so, or the majority, I should say. So let's get to this week's class. And with that, Tom, I will throw it over to you.
Okay, and as Keith mentioned, friends and relatives are the number one. So when new distributors join, they say, "Oh, I don't want to talk to my friends and relatives." You have to think, why do you want to make it so hard? Start with people you have instant rapport with, and that way you don't have to do much of a rapport step. But they don't know what they don't know, and that's the reason for the master class, for audios, for books, for training, to teach people what they don't know, because it's what we don't know that holds us back. So let's get started. We have a lot of questions. We'll try to get through them all. So we'll go a little bit fast, as always in the masterclass. Remember, there's always a replay. So let's do the first question. What's the biggest feedback on the homework from last week that we got? And that is, people enjoyed the two questions. Do we want to get better? That they can say to their team members. And then immediately ask, do you want to do it faster or slower? And that kind of commits them to taking action. So now they can bring up, well, if you want to do it faster, we have a meeting on Saturday, or we have this training, etc. If you want to do it faster, here's the next step for you to take. So that was a fun question, and it's very effective for people. Here's a little ad, not really an ad, but it's like a post. So I'll read it to you in case you're driving. And we're going to ask your feedback on it. What do you think in the Q&A, if you were a coach for this person, what would you tell them? So it's a post in a Facebook group. This is an insurance person, and he posts this to the group. He says, does anyone have any idea on how to partner up with real estate agents and loan officers? I've reached out to about 50 and not one callback or response to my emails. Posting anonymous because I don't want my inbox flooded. Well, obviously, they don't have the problem with their inbox flooded. So in the Q&A, what do you think went wrong with this? From anonymous member, if you were the coach for this person, what would you suggest to this person? What would maybe give them a better chance? Maybe not guarantee success, but at least put odds in their favor. So can you think of what went wrong in the message, or the approach, or the market, or the offer, or? So Keith, what do we have here for some suggested answers?
We have
from all of our new, yeah.
We have speak to them in person. Yeah, absolutely. It's the, how did you reach out? What did you say? Obviously. So yeah, if it's in person, it's a little bit more of a conversation, obviously. Make a phone call instead of emailing. Yep, there you go. Pick up the phone. No rapport, no relationship. Of course, yeah, you're reaching out to 50. I doubt those were the 50 people that you knew right away. It's so much easier to have a conversation with people that you know, or building rapport. Building rapport, offer benefits, offer value, things like that, of course. moving back to my previous comment, I would ask when they're reaching out, what are you asking? Yeah, what are you saying? What are you offering? Obviously, building is more rapport. We're all on the same page here. 9 out of 10 here is about rapport. So, also, they feel like they're talking to a robot. Yeah, absolutely. If I get a lot of chat GBT emails lately, and it's completely obvious. It's ridiculous. So yeah, put yourself out there, have a conversation, set yourself apart from the noise. So yeah, keep these coming in.
Okay, and here's some things that a lot of people here have noticed is that if you're reaching out to people by email, how many emails do we delete in our inbox? Almost all of them. We only answer a few of them. So if you're reaching out by email, which is a pretty low level, it's like a level 1 communication out of the 6, we probably shouldn't expect very much. And of course, like they mentioned, if you're posting anonymously, um, people are not going to have any trust. And then you have to ask, what's the offer here? There's so many things wrong with this. It's a wonder why this person can't see that if 50 people not get back to him or even reply, there must be something wrong. Anyway, let's move on. Just an example of our competition. Here's the YouTube video we asked everybody to watch last week. Here's the URL again. And if you haven't read it, let's review here in the next slide here. What this video says, if you have focused and deliberate practice for 20 hours, which means you're using that whole hour or you're not doing anything else, multitasking. Focused, deliberate practice, that's 45 minutes a day for a month. You can learn almost any skill, good enough to be competent at it. And the steps in the video is take the skill you want and put it into smaller pieces. Just work at a little piece at a time and learn enough to self-correct to see where you're going wrong. Or in the previous example here, this person that's emailing, he cannot self-correct because he has no idea what's going on. Next thing is to remove the practice barriers and practice, at least 20 hours, which is 45 minutes a day. If you haven't watched that video, take the time to do it. It really is impressive, and it explains to us how we can accumulate a lot of skills with focused practice, and it's pretty easy once you have this little plan. Okay, here's the next thing. The answers we're looking for. People send emails all the time saying, yeah, how do you do this? How do you do this? The answers we're looking for, we're not going to find them in our TikTok newsfeed. We're not going to find them in a Facebook post. The answers to what's holding us back in our business. In the Q&A, let me ask you, where can we find the answers for our business? In other words, well, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know what's holding me back, or I don't know what's going wrong. Where can I find the answer? Now, we do know that TikTok videos of cats falling off of tables and stuff like that may be entertaining, but it may not be helpful for our business. You say, okay, where can we look? So Keith, what are some of the suggestions that people put in here where they can look for the real answers so they can get moving forward with their business?
Yeah, we have everything from obviously your upline, which includes training, asking the questions instead of scrolling in the mirror. So there you go. Especially if you're in this class, yeah, you probably have enough skills to get started. We have the answers from our mentors, from our accountability partners, from classes that we take. We have, going into the prospecting mode, meet with people and discuss their problems. Obviously, we have Big L training and books, read books, attend classes. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. We've been posting a lot of, 30, 45 second clips on our social media. So there you go. Yeah, keep these coming in.
Okay, so I noticed nobody puts in there, where can we find them? 20 more hours of scrolling. That is not the answer. So let's take one more quick look at our competition, and then we'll get down to some more questions. Here's the most terrible pitch of the week that I've received. And this is in a LinkedIn message. It says, we got a super technology. We got involved in with right now. I've never seen anything like this before in the industry. We're not selling anything. Now, you got to look at that and say, boy, that's a pretty terrible pitch. And I think we could probably fill up our entire chat with reasons why that's not very good. But this is our competition. This is how people are out there recruiting. And I said, well, just out of curiosity, I wonder what he's pitching. So I went and traced it down a little bit. And here's what he's pitching. And here's a summary. And please don't anybody be offended, but this is sort of the summary. Are you ready? It's like a networker saying, this crypto MLM is a game changer. Get in now. And we're saying, what is the track record of crypto MLMs over the last 12 years? And the networker says, 100% failure, but this is different. And we look at that and say, maybe they could have had a benefit or a solution, but this is, if anybody did the looking, you say, this is really not very good. So the next thing is, what is the premise of this game changer crypto MLM? And roughly the networker posted this. This is a paraphrase, so don't be offended. It says, if you are a poor Bangladesh farmer, you can give a stranger in to buy a few dollars, and without personally adding any value, the stranger will generously gift you back millions. So when we see getting now, last chance, brand new, game changer, this would be a good time to be skeptical. And being skeptical doesn't mean being negative. It just means a little bit of critical thinking. And you say, okay, so why are they asking for this money if they're rich, successful, and why are they gifting it all to us? It keeps us away from Ponzi schemes. Let's move on. Okay, here's the next question. How do I know what to teach my new team members first? Now, when a new person comes in, how many skills they have? He said, well, they might have some social skills or skills in their previous business, but they probably don't have network marketing skills. So where do I start? Where do I stop? So here is a way to kind of narrow it down a little bit. The first thing is, if they're not doing anything or not really getting started, check first if it's a mindset problem or a skill problem. So the mindset problem is, I won't do it. I could do it, but I won't. The skill problem is, I want to do it, but I don't have the skills. I don't know what to say and do to make it happen. So ask yourself when you look at this person, is it a mindset problem or a skill problem? Now, here's the quick solution for this. If it is a mindset problem, there's a chapter called Head Trash from the Offers book. And Keith and I made a PDF of it. And if you don't have it, just send a message to Big Al's Masterclass here. We'll send you a copy of that PDF that you can send people. And the Head Trash chapter really helps with their mindset problem. It's free. Just send the email. We'll send it to you so you can pass it on to your team. And what it does is teach them how to talk to people without an agenda, where there's no rejection, and to look at it a better way. And you say, okay, that's if it is a mindset problem. But if it's a skill problem, they just don't know how to talk to people. Then what we're going to do is use the benefit plus permission formula for the skill problem. Why do we want to use the benefit plus permission formula? Because that's the easiest way for them to talk to with no chance of rejection. So it's the coolest icebreaker ever for totally rejection free, where they can talk to their family at a family reunion with no fear whatsoever. If you're not familiar with the benefit plus permission formula in the Happy Networker book, the free book, it's in there. You can just read it, a whole chapter about it. So those are a way of kind of narrowing down where do you want to start with their skills. And there's one more side note to this. When you're out prospecting and you're looking for people, do you want to look for people if you had a choice? that had good mindsets or good skills? Who would you look for first? And the answer is mindset is a little bit harder to teach. So you want to look for people that have a good mindset. And skills are easier to teach. You say these words, these things happen. So look for people that have a good mindset when we're out prospecting. That'll give us the shortest path to success. Now, in the Q&A, here's a question. Where can we find prospects with good mindsets wanting change in their lives? Where we can find people that have a mindset saying, I'm dissatisfied where I am. I want to change my life. I'm willing to do something about it. That's the mindset we're looking for. Don't worry about skills. We can teach anybody skills later, but the mindset's going to be the hardest thing. And I'll just give you an example of where you could look. Go to waiters, the waiter in the restaurant. There's a good chance that they're saying, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Some maybe, but a lot of them don't. And you say, well, aren't waiters flaky? They always tell their managers how to do their job better and they quit and all that. Yeah, these are entrepreneurs, So talk to them. That would be an example of where you could find some folks. Say, well, where else could I look for people with really good mindsets? And you say, okay, in the Q&A, put down where you think you would find them. So, Keith, what do we have here for a couple just quick ideas?
We have LinkedIn. So I guess, if you put yourself out there, and then you got to do the profile, give back. And they're definitely a little bit more interactive than the regular social media applications. We have adult education classes. They're going out of their way, spending time, learning new stuff. Uber drivers, absolutely. I would say 95% of Uber drivers are definitely go-getters, and they like conversations, or they kind of find it part of their job, of course. Coaches. So, underpaid coaches that have to put up with a lot of stuff. So, absolutely. Keep these coming in.
Okay. And the next two questions are yours, Keith, because you do a lot more coaching than me, so go ahead.
The first one is, as a coach, and I'm assuming this is like whether you're coaching your team, of course. How do you get people to take personal responsibility? I know we can't threaten them, but we don't have much leverage. I guess the big thing is we have to figure out, why are they building? Like, everything that we normally present is logical, 10% on level 2, working your way up the ranks, getting a bigger percentage, stuff like that. It's very logical. So what is their emotional reason? And the reason you have to ask is because we don't know what's really going on in their life. Like, they could be well off financially, but they're in this business because they want to help people that they used to be like. They used to be the single struggling parent, or they used to be not being able to spend time with their kids. So it could be their emotional reason, it could be other people's reasons. So you have to figure that part out. Of course, that's in the Top 1% book there as well. So first of all, that's step number one, because no matter what, how easy and how threatening we can be, it's not going to work unless they have a reason. And they might not have thought of that reason, or they joined a couple years ago and they're just coming back. Their reasons are different. The other thing that I like to do is called best and worst case scenario. I know I've covered this in the past if you've been in these classes over the last at least 6 months, I guess. And it's, what is the worst thing that can happen? What worst thing, whatever the activity is, what's the worst thing to happen if you post something? What's the worst thing to happen if you talk to somebody? What's the worst thing to happen if you ask questions with somebody? And it's always, they don't join, or they may be negative, but it's never like a physical harm to you, or it's never that bad. And they're like, well, worst case is I make it uncomfortable because this person's, a warm contact. Well, then don't say uncomfortable things. Say something that's benefiting them. And of course, what's the best case scenario? And it kind of goes on, okay, they become a customer. Okay, wait, they become a distributor. Oh, wait, they could become a leader, or they could build a massive team. And then it really kind of gets their mind going. So I always call, best and worst case scenario. And of course, make sure they have an emotional reason to build the business. Second one thing is, what exactly should I do every day to build my business. My theory is something's always better than nothing. Like you could say something completely uncomfortable, there's going to be a certain percentage that just join because they know, like, and trust you, and so forth. But we learn the skills because we want to increase our percentage. We want to increase the odds. We want to make it easy. We want to make things duplicatable. We want to, just make it so business is enjoyable. And before I get to the Q&A, in the Q&A here, and I asked this on Zooms, and I asked this at an event I did, I guess about 2 weeks ago. Why do you think people don't join your business? Just first thing that comes to your mind, why do people not join your business? And I kind of put a hint in the live workshop I did, or the most recent one, I should say. People say, well, it's because they don't have enough money, they don't have enough time. What is the one reason you think people don't join your business? Really quick here, and then we'll get to the second Q&A. Lack of trust, don't believe they would be successful. Unknown factor. Of course, I talked about timing as well. I talked about people had said they don't have enough money, enough time. They don't join because they think they can't do it, can do it. They don't think it'll work for them. And backing up, and wow, good. These are coming in, but really quick. My thing is, at the very beginning, it's because we don't let them know it exists. So most of the time, yes, we can present to people and they say, well, I don't have money, but time. We could overcome their objections, of course. But the big thing is, a lot of times, the majority of people don't join because we didn't let them know about it. We didn't let them know it existed. We didn't find a way to bring it up in conversation. We didn't find a way to make it so it's comfortable. So majority of the people that don't join our business, because we didn't tell them. Think about all the contacts you have on your phone. I guarantee you, less than 1% we've actually contacted the correct way. So that's the big thing, is we have to do something instead of nothing. So I kind of put a little hint in there before. So most of the time they don't join because we didn't let them know about it. So moving back to the question in the Q&A, what activity do you suggest? The three that I can bring up right away is the 3 easy habits. Number 1 is personal development. Obviously, do something every single day. It doesn't have to be big, but when you create that habit, it does make a big difference in your entire day. So I'd say do it in the morning. The second thing is making new contact, and that's just improving your conversational tactics. And number 3 is promote an event. And if you don't have anybody in your business, you promote the event to yourself, because yes, it's a lot easier when you have those 3. So in the Q&A, what activity do you suggest, in not including the ones that I talked about? If you already typed it in, that's fine, of course. Let's see here. Send an audio text with a message to someone. People listen more than they read an email. So absolutely. Now, this could be also covering the realtor one earlier, I should say. But yes, I do get a lot of audio messages on like the texting app, and also on social media apps. And it's pretty cool. You could definitely tell their emotion, and you can definitely tell it's not a canned response, which is pretty cool. Add one new name to your list every day and book one appointment every day. Absolutely. Yeah, make it a goal. Put it out there. If you say you're going to book one appointment every single day and you're successful 80% of the time, 50% of the time, even 25% of the time, you win. Absolutely. You got to put it out there. Talk. There you go. Talk, ask questions. All of the above. Conversations is, of course, where it's at. But the big thing is we have to remember that as many skills as we have, the biggest skill, and you guys talked about it earlier, is rapport. And of course, we have to let them know it exists. And the skills is what makes it easier for you to let them know. So yes, keep these coming in. I think the next question is yours. So back over to you. Oh, let's see if I got this. Oh, you there, Tom?
Better. Probably with my mic on, it's better. Yes. It says, the question is, I coach my distributor, but no progress. He still fails. He tells me his prospects keep saying no to presentations. Any suggestions? Well, it's kind of obvious here that this person's not talking to the prospects. He's only talking to the distributor. And the distributor doesn't have good rapport. So what the new person is saying, I don't want you to talk to my prospects because I'm afraid you'll be too pushy on them. So if we high pressure our distributor, they'll never let us talk to their people because we'll just be an embarrassment to them. So the suggestion is be a little bit more calm and remember how we talk to our distributors is how they're going to see us talking to their friends. Here's a quick answer. To the distributor, once we pass the report thing, we ask them what got you most excited when you saw our business, and do you think others might feel the same? And they're going to say, well, yeah, my friends would feel the same. They want this is well, that's why we should talk to them. And the second way is maybe they don't have a good benefit in their offer. They're not describing a really enticing outcome, so nobody wants to talk to them. So we probably should find out what they're saying right now. And the last thing here is, are you avoiding having an agenda that shows? In other words, they may have a recruiting or commission breath. So what we want to do is teach them you want to have an attitude of somebody like taking a survey. It's okay to say yes. It's okay to say no. Just step back and not be so pushy. Remember options so people don't feel like they're being cornered or going to be tricked later. Here's another answer to that is, how many people does it take to change your future downline size? And they're going to say, well, just one. I said, well, how about we try to find that one? Another answer could be, can you join me at the next event? What's going to happen at the next event? They're going to rekindle their passion. They're going to be surrounded by people who are having success. Instead of being surrounded by negative people, they'll be surrounded by 100% positive people. They'll rub off. And Keith's great question is, what's the biggest thing holding you back? Let's do the next question here. The person asks about these questions. Can I use this meeting with a group instead of just an individual? So this is like talking to a networking group. So when our prospects tell us, I don't want to change, I want to procrastinate, I want to decide to keep the same in my life, what can I do to kind of prompt them into action? So here is the scenario if you want to prompt a group into action. So the scenario is, imagine you're in front of a Breakfast Club networking group and you have 30 seconds or a minute. And here's what we're going to say to the group. Remember, we got to prompt them into action so they're not procrastinating. So we could say something simple like this. 30 seconds is way more time than what we need. So we can start off by saying, for rapport, everyone, let's take a deep breath. Now, we don't have to do anything. Relax. They go, well, that's pretty good. No pushing. And this person is an insurance salesman that sells investments. He says, we can keep letting the government tax our savings. No action is needed. The government will gladly take a bit more from us every month. Now, what we have done is show them what's going to happen if they don't take our option. So remember, options are binary. That's the most powerful ones. We're going to tell them what's going to happen if they don't do anything. If they don't take action, that's a no. And we've described it here. Or, and then we can say, we can choose to stop giving extra money to the government every month. And the way we present is giving extra money. And instead of put that lost money in our own pockets and investment accounts. If that sounds better to you, the only action you need to take is to say hi to me in the back of the room when we finish this networking event. So the call to action is the only action you need to take is just to say hi to me with the back room when we finish. And from there, you can start a conversation and get contact details. So to a group, if you have to get individuals to make action, this is a great call to action. Here's the next question. I sell high-end nutrition, expensive. All right. I know if people use it for 30 days, they'll love it, but it's expensive and people hesitate. Any marketing ideas? Here's just a quick one, just to show us that we can be creative. So if you have a big problem, just saying, I don't have the creative answer to it yet, but I can learn. So here's the answer. Find an underemployed masseuse. Somebody gives massages, and make an offer to the masseuse saying, instead of using a big discounted coupon to get new customers for your massage services, let me pay the discounted price for one of my customers. And to make it easier for them, say, you're going to schedule this during your unbusy time, so it's just going to be extra money for you. So here is a financial example of this. So let's say that they charge $120 for the massage. And they say, well, when I give a coupon, I give them like an $80 first time visit discount or whatever. Say, well, all right, I'll pay the $40. I'll give that to you. And you get a chance for a long-term customer and actually get paid to demonstrate to the customer. Okay. So say you can offer a $120 massage to the distributor with your high-end nutrition products for an introductory offer as an incentive for your new customer. In other words, now you go back to your potential customer and say, when you buy my expensive nutrition, we'll also include a one-time $120 massage just to make sure you're going to have a great result. So if you sell something high-end, but if once they try it, well, just spend a little bit of money up front on something like this that has bigger value in their minds. All right, here's the next question. My sponsor doesn't help me at all when I reach out. What would you suggest I do? Well, probably change. I'm sorry. This question here first. How can I get better at presenting without memorizing word for word, as that sounds salesy? Is there a trick or shortcut? The shortcut is just to do it a lot. And if you do it a lot, you're going to see all the different permeations and how people change. In other words, some people are going to smile at this part, other people ask a certain question, and other people ask a different question at this point. And pretty soon, you've been exposed to all the possibilities. And once you do that, you're going to relax. And you'll say, now, instead of me trying to remember what word comes next, I can spend my time talking to the person. So how do you get better? Let's start with experience. For most people, you could read forever, but having several experiences is going to have a lot more effect. So try doing more, and that's the trick or shortcut. Moving on, let's do the next one here. How can I get better at presenting without memorizing word for word? Question. My sponsor doesn't help me when I reach out. All right, what do you suggest? Okay, my sponsor doesn't help me. All right, what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to change, right? So if your sponsor's not going to help you, stop bugging your sponsor. Your sponsor gave you an opportunity. Look at it that way. The sponsor is not obligated to help you. It'd be nice, but not obligated. So we're going to have to say, all right, if that's not available, I'm going to have to take it from here. So if your sponsor doesn't help you, you're going to say, all right, let's go farther upline. If nobody upline wants to help, and I know there's some people here on the call that have this situation, then you're going to have to be the new sponsor, the upline that does care about the people starting from you on down. And can we learn without a upline sponsor? The answer is absolutely yes. And sometimes learning without an upline sponsor is better because some of them have some really bad ideas and bad habits. So don't use that for an excuse. You say, well, my sponsor doesn't help me. And you take away that excuse, I'm going to have to find another excuse not to do it. Well, in that case, nothing's going to help. But we're going to take personal responsibility here and say, well, I guess it's going to start with me. It's going to be a little bit harder, but let's get on with it. My sponsor gave me an opportunity. My sponsor is not going to do everything for me. And some sponsors won't even help. And again, like I say, it may be okay. What's the next question here? I want to track my progress, but you say babies fail 100% of the time while learning how to walk, which is true. If you ever watch a baby walk, they fail 100% of the time. Face falls, accidents. It's really hard to watch. They do this while learning to walk, but then at one moment, it all works for them. So the person is here saying, it's going to be hard to track my progress because I'll just be having failure after failure after failure. So how do I keep myself motivating when all my experience is failure after failure after failure? He says, well, here's how you do that. You have to go back thinking about that baby. And you got to go back to thinking about every skill that we learned. At some point, it clicked. And when does that happen for people? I don't know. But when it happens, it's magical. And for people who have learned to sponsor, or if you haven't learned to sponsor, let me give you some good news. You get started and you read this book, you take this class, you practice with people, nothing is working. Nothing. And you say, how can it be so bad? How can I keep myself motivated? So if you're having 100% failure, it's pretty easy to look at our past experience and say, this is going to be my future experience. It's how the human mind works. So how do you do this? All you can do is hold out and say, you know what? I'm only one person away from changing my life forever. And the worst nightmare, if you want to use kind of a negative motivation, the worst nightmare you and I could ever have is to quit our business. 6 months from now, we meet a friend who had another friend who had a relative who would have been good for our business, and we could have made $100,000 per year, but we had dropped out, so we didn't sponsor them. Wouldn't that be a nightmare? So the point is never quit, because you never know that the next person you meet might know somebody who might know somebody who might know somebody, and that might be the one person that can change your life. Here's what's the next question here? All right. I have more experience and skills than my new team member. Why won't he let me talk to his prospects? I can do a better job. And the answer is because of how we talk to our new team member. They're afraid, like we mentioned earlier, they're afraid to have us talk to their people because it'll be an embarrassment for them. Let's move on here. Next question. You, talking about me, read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie to learn your first skills. But that book is 80 years old and outdated. What do you recommend now? So yes, many, many, many years ago, that's the book that introduced me. Hey, maybe there's things called social skills. So what book do you recommend? Well, before we answer, please put in the Q&A what book you would recommend. But before we do that, here's a little humor to refresh our brains here, because we've been talking about a lot of stuff. Here's a post. What's the strangest thing you've done for cash? And the answer is I took out a loan to go to school so I could get a job to pay off my school loans. And you say, all right, that's kind of funny, but what's the point? The point is, if your network marketing business can only earn enough money just to make payments on their student loan, you're going to change somebody's life. And you say, well, how do I get referrals? Maybe ask for who do you know that has student loans to pay? And already you have a reason to talk to them. All right. So anyway, in the Q&A, what skill book would you recommend for a new team member just getting started in network marketing? Like it was for me, it was How to Win Friends and Influence People, but that may not be the book that you like. So what book would you recommend? So, well, some people say, I recommend the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Okay. And some people say, well, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And I'm thinking, that may not be the first book. But what about you? If somebody asks you this, what are you going to recommend? And I see in the chat here, Tony Mealy says that book really isn't outdated. I don't think so, but I'm highly biased. If you haven't read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, you say, wow, there's some cool things I could do just knowing about that book. So here's one by Bethany Perry. It says, besides your book, The Big Leap. Or Bill Lucanti has Rejection Proof by Jia Jiang. Jia Jiang. So much for my Chinese. The Color Personalities, AJ has recommended. The Big Leap. The How to Meet New People Handbook. Yeah, I'm biased toward that one, of course. Keith and I would be. And Four Color Personalities, so we know what we're talking about. If you don't have one, here's your chance. Think about one I'm going to have, because this question will probably come up. How do I get this person started? Because maybe it has to be remote because I don't have time to be with them. Here's the next question. I got the contact numbers from people I play tennis with. When I call them, usually 2 weeks later, I get instant rejection, even though they are originally interested. Any suggestions? And the answer to this is rejection is the penalty we pay for delay in our follow-up. So because we waited 2 weeks to contact them, of course, the lead is cold, and now it sounds like we're trying to pitch them. So what we should do when they have their initial interest is get an appointment right away, so we don't have to call them back and get rejected. So in the Q&A, if you wanted to get an appointment right away after you talk to these people, what 4 words would you say? You say, well, the 4 words? Oh, that would be pretty easy. I see here in the chat, a lot of people have it. The 4 words is, then we should talk. That's it. So if you're talking, for example, talking to people that play tennis, and you might say, well, if you play tennis a lot, then you probably want more time off so you can enter more tournaments. And so, well, yeah, well, then we should talk. So the 4 words are, then we should talk, is the simplest way of getting appointments. Why make it hard on ourselves? Just say, then we should talk. Here's a quick point. When prospects ask how, they're already sold on the journey. So if we do an icebreaker and our prospect says, how does that work? Congratulate yourself, high five. Here's the next question here. So many questions here. I know your icebreakers have a pattern. What is the pattern so I can create more? Most of us know these patterns, but I'll review them very quickly here. The first pattern is tiny questions. Tiny questions are, do you have this problem? Would it be okay if you could fix it? So you say, do you hate your job? Yeah. Would it be okay if you could fix it? Yeah. Then we should talk. So that was pretty easy. Our curiosity is a good icebreaker pattern. I just found out how we can get 2 paychecks every week instead of 1. Or you can use the benefit plus permission icebreaker. We talked about that one earlier. Or we can use the if-then approach. The if-then is an automatic program in the subconscious mind that says, whatever you say after if will probably happen because then you said then. So those are just a couple formulas. There's so many. There's no shortage of cool formulas for icebreakers. Another way, besides just a formula, is to concentrate on the problem. Ask questions. So if you can't think of an icebreaker, just ask questions. And the longer you ask questions while they're talking, you can be thinking of what you could say. But usually when they talk, they like to complain. It's another human program. So when you do that, here's the next step. Convert the problem they complain about into a question. What do you mean convert the problem into a question? Well, the human mind is conditioned to respond to questions. Not only does it take up space in their mind, but they also feel obligated to answer a question. So as soon as you hear the problem, turn it into a question, and you're going to have really good prospect engagement. So here's an example for nutrition. You can say, one of the first symptoms of heart disease is instant death. Do you know the number 1 thing you can do today to prevent heart disease? So from that question, they have to think about it. And if they say no, we're probably going to say what 4 words, and then we should talk. Let's do another example of turning a problem into sort of a question. Here's an opportunity for training example. So you want to get the people to come to your company convention. So you might say to them, you will be stuck in that job with no freedom for life unless something changes. And they say, yeah, I know. So how much would it be worth to you to have a full-time network marketing business? And they say, well, I earn $100,000 a year. It'd be worth more than $100,000 if I could just do that. So, well, then we should go to the convention, or then we should go to this training. Here's a insurance example. I know we have a lot of insurance people on. You can say to somebody, your current savings plan can't do enough to make a difference. And you say, well, that's a great report because they already see they can't, what they're saving right now. They've been working for 40 years and have nothing in the bank. Then you say, would you like to know the one change that almost guarantees success? And of course, they have to say yes. And then you can talk to them about having automatic deductions taken out of their paycheck or something like that. So take a problem, turn it into a question, instant engagement. Here's the next question. I have a proven duplicable system to build, but most of my team won't use it. All right, so here's the answer to this one. In the Q&A, what is wrong with this explanation? I'm going to give an explanation here, and this should teach us the principle. The explanation is your chances of getting Alzheimer's by age 85 are 1 in 10. The average smoker lives to age 66. Therefore, smoking lowers the chance of getting Alzheimer's. So for those 3 sentences in the Q&A, what is wrong with this logic? Your chances of getting Alzheimer's by age 85 are 1 in 10. The average smoker lives to only age 66. Therefore, smoking lowers the chance of getting Alzheimer's. I say, what is wrong with that explanation? I see in here we have things. It's a real bad solution. The correlation doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Wait a minute. What we're saying is it doesn't make any sense. And yeah, if you look at this, it doesn't make any sense. So if you go back to the original question here, the duplicatable system, most people won't use it. Why? Because it doesn't make sense. So here is what should be going through this person's mind. Are you ready? Here's the next slide. This person, the sponsor who has this great system, is saying, this is how I built my business. You want to be successful like me. The only way to success is to copy me. So it's the same. It's just really bad logic. The correlation doesn't make any sense. You say, oh, okay, because there's more than one way to get to the top. So if your sponsor says the way I did it by going cold calling up and down the street, yeah, I got shot at a lot, but I lived. You say there's got to be another way to doing it. Anyway, those are most of the questions for this week. Running out of time here. So next week, we're going to prepare our team members' mindset to learn. So we all sponsor somebody, and they're hesitant because of the unknown. They're afraid of rejection. So how do we prepare their mindset so they'll want to learn, and what kind of phrases can we use to get the job done? Now, if we don't know any phrases, next week it might be pretty good for us then, for sure. But let's do a little bit of homework from this week. Homework number 1. Refine our prospecting questions to find people who have a good mindset. And here's an example. I like asking the question, who do you know that has a full-time job and a part-time job and would like to get rid of one of those jobs? For me, that's a great prospecting question, because that means I'm going to be talking to people who are hard workers that want to get rid of one of their jobs. I'm going to have pretty good success talking to that person. So what we want to do is create a great icebreaker question for our most popular product or service. You say, all right, take a look at what I sell. If I come up with a great one, I can pass it on to my team and they'll rock with it because they're not going to figure it out on their own. It's going to be my responsibility, and I can't. And my upline's not even talking to me. Homework number 2 is look at the leaders in your company. Do they all look like us? You're probably going to say, none of them look like me. Do they look like each other? He says, no, they look really different. That's it. Just take a look, and hopefully we'll get at that. Even though we have a way that works for us, it's super successful for us, and people should duplicate, but they don't because they are not us. They came in with a different set of skills, background, and experiences. They see the world differently. So all we want to do is look at the leaders and say, you know what? If somebody doesn't copy me or do it my way, doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means maybe they had a different background. They see the world differently, but they can still become successful. Homework number 3. Find an activity that builds your business that you enjoy and then make it a habit. Find the way that you can talk to people that it's comfortable for you. Once it's comfortable, it's going to be easy to make it into a habit, and that habit will automatically build our business week after week after week. And as always, submit your questions or any homework to us at bigowlmasterclass@gmail.com. And as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have that chapter head trash, send us an email and we'll send it to you so you can give it to your team members to help them with their mindset problems. A lot of questions. So with that, Keith, let me turn over to you.
All right, terrific. Yes, I appreciate everybody who was live interacting. Of course, the replay, the majority definitely send in your homework. We'd love to give you feedback. The most importantly part is to do it. So we'll catch everybody next week and have a wonderful day. Thanks again.